Hey everyone, today I want to go over how to remove the spare tire from an F-150. This specifically is a 2020 Raptor, but this is going to apply to all F-150s of this generation, and the process will be similar to all F-150s. So you're going to need the key for the truck, and you're also going to need to get the hardware from behind the rear passenger seat. So you have a pull tab here. When you pull this, the seat releases. You push that down as far as you can out of the way, and all your related hardware that you're going to need is back here. Now, it's going to have some Velcro straps that just hold it in place and keep it from accidentally coming loose. And then it also has two bolts on the bottom to keep it from rattling. So to get this whole assembly out, you have to slide it towards the outside of the truck and then lift straight up. You can see down there you have those two, what are essentially pins, and they lock into these two slotted holes on here. So basically this won't rattle when you're driving down the road. And once you get it out, you have everything you need nicely packaged from the factory. So I'm going to go ahead and open this all up and show exactly what is in this kit. All right, now that I got everything out of the bag and broken apart, you can better see everything. Obviously you have a scissor jack, so if you need to lift the vehicle and you've never done it before, you're not comfortable, you can look in your owner's manual for jacking points as a reference. Any Ford vehicle that has a capless fuel filler neck is going to have one of these funnels. This is basically so if you have to put gas in the vehicle from a gas can, or you're not using something with a nozzle on it, this makes it much easier, much cleaner, because typically those are much more difficult to fill from a gas can. This is a Raptor specific item. This is actually a wheel chock, so it's basically a little tri-fold wheel chock that comes out like that. So if you need to chock the vehicle just for safety purposes. And the main pieces you're going to need for this is you're going to need your lug wrench to get the spare tire down, as well as all of these extensions. If you have this extension on here with this hook, you don't need that. If it comes off, you can just leave that to the side. Some of the older trucks I know will have a hook that's built into it that you can use, and some of them will not have this little square piece built in. So essentially what you're going to do is put all three of these extensions together, and they go in the end of the lug wrench. So the larger end that does not fit into the lug wrench is the end that actually goes onto the winch underneath the truck to lower the tire itself, and the small end will go in here. You can put these in any order, it doesn't really matter. They do have, most of the newer ones will have these little detents on them, kind of like how a ratchet is, so you can lock them together and they're not actually going to fall apart. So I'll put that together in a minute. Like I said, all three extensions you're going to need just to get it as far away from the vehicle as possible. Now, as far as getting the actual spare tire down, first thing you have to do is, this is a little anti-theft lock that the Ford puts on here from the factory. Now, obviously you can see there is a keyhole in there. A couple options for getting that down. If you have a truck with a traditional turn style key, you can use that. If you have a truck with a push button start, it's going to have one of these fobs. Now, I have a key cover on mine just to keep this thing safe in case I drop it, but there is a little button here on the bottom that all these fobs have. When you push this in, you can pull out a key that's hidden in the bottom of these fobs. So that is another option. Now, what I typically do, so I don't have to take that cover off, is if you purchase your F-150 new, it should come with one of these keys that looks like this. Now, I put a hole in mine just because I keep it on a key ring, but most people don't know what this is for. This is actually can be used to unlock this. So you turn this, and this lets this anti-theft device out. Now, I just went and cleaned mine. I don't have a ton of miles on my truck, but this thing was really disgusting. So this is something you should take off every once in a while and clean it, because you don't want this thing to sit on here for years and years and potentially get lots of salt and road grime in it and have it get frozen, and then you can't get to your spare tire. So that would be really problematic, especially on the road. So I already went ahead and put a flashlight down there. Essentially what you're going to try to lock onto is that what is essentially a funnel in there. So you can see it's slightly off to the left and a little bit up. So you're basically going to want to guide that extension in there and lock it in place. There's a little square head all the way in the bottom of that the extension locks onto, and that's going to be your guide. Now, this can be a little bit frustrating to do this, trying to line it up. Definitely eyeball it first so you have a good reference point as to where you are with it. But it's not too hard, and once it locks on, it usually stays locked on pretty well, and it doesn't take a lot of effort to turn. Counterclockwise to lower it, clockwise to raise it again. So I'm going to go ahead and put all that together, line it up, and we'll go ahead and start taking the tire down. All right, so we essentially have our T-bar fully assembled. Again, all the pins are locked in place. This is not going to accidentally come apart. So you just want to eyeball this as best as possible. Goes in about halfway. You have to turn a little bit to lock it in place, counterclockwise to lower, clockwise to go up. One thing I keep in all my vehicles for doing spare tire changes, especially on the side of the road, because this tends to be a really dirty thing, is a set of work gloves. So all my vehicles, I just have a little bag, some various items like flashlights and gloves in it. So there have been times I had to do tire changes on the side of the road where it's dark, and it makes it a lot easier. And when you lower this, there's a little bit, now first off, there's a little bit of an Easter egg under here for Raptor owners that most Raptor owners don't know about. You also want to lower this all the way and give yourself as much slack, because you're going to have to, there's a little ball piece underneath you have to turn sideways, so you want to give yourself the max amount of slack. So just turn this thing until it stops. Don't go hard. You'll know when it stops, when it's all the way out. So you have to pull this out and turn it to unlock the wheel to get it out. I think we're almost there. Now if you have a hard time getting this kit back together when you're done, it does reference in the owner's manual how to put the kit back together properly. All right, it stopped dead, and that's it. Put that off to the side. So for the Raptor owners, you have a Raptor spare wheel under here that matches the other wheels. So most Raptor owners don't know that. Now here's probably the hardest part of this. There's a little piece underneath that you have to turn sideways to get the tire off. So this is where a second person can be a little bit easier if you have one. If not, you can usually make do. So the plate's got to come up first, followed by the spring assembly. Try to be careful when you do this, not to scratch the wheel up. All right, there we go. We are out. So pull the spare tire out. One thing to notice that I've noticed with a lot of other pickup trucks is when these spare tires are sitting up in here for years, they tend to develop some kind of rub marks, and I've seen they get pretty deep after like a decade. So just kind of keep an eye on that. Again, like I said, how dirty this thing is. This truck doesn't even have a lot of miles on it. So this is the plate that's underneath it with the spring on it. When it's sitting fully stowed away, it's going to sit like this, and this basically keeps it from falling off. When you have to get this off, you have to lift this piece up and turn it as vertical as possible, and all of this has to get fed through this hole. So it's a little tight, but obviously it's doable. So and that's pretty much it. So it's not a hard job. It's a little dirty. Get a spare set of gloves, so if you're doing this on the side of the road, you can keep your hands reasonably clean, and not too hard. Obviously one person doable, two people a little bit easier, and it's that simple. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.